This is College Uncovered from GBH News and the Hechinger Report. I'm Kirk Carapezza with GBH. And we're back now with our mix engineer and sound designer, David Goodman. He produces a podcast called Dear College. Along with colleagues Steve Morantz and Margot Ferris, they record high school seniors reading their college admission essays. Good to speak with you again, David.
Thanks, Kirk.
So tell us a bit about this episode of the podcast.
In this second bonus episode, Kirk, we're featuring Tayana Antonione, a recent graduate of Fenway High School in Boston. In her essay, she relates how being an older sister and caretaker in her family has affected her emotionally and influenced her decision-making process. As she points out, it's hard work and challenging for a young person making the transition from high school to college and youth to adulthood.
Yeah, now remind us, David, what was your inspiration for the project?
Well, journalist Steve Morantz and I were working on a documentary about Fenway High when the college advisor told us about these inspirational essays. Once we read them, we were hooked. Like Studs Terkel, I imagine, when he heard stories of working-class life in the 1950s, 60s, and 70s. These students are assertive, persuasive, and really imaginative.
No doubt. Okay, let's listen to Tayana.
Dear College. Hello, my name is Tayana, and I'm a teen mom. Well, technically speaking, I didn't give birth to any children. Technically speaking, I'm only a sister. An older sister, may I add, because that's a very important part of it all.
Welcome to Dear College, a podcast featuring the hopes, aspirations, and challenges of a rising generation.
I think it's very hard for people to grasp the pressure. Honestly, if I were to ask you, on a scale from 1 to 10, how hard you think an older sibling has it, maybe you'd respond a 7 or 6 to seem empathetic or knowledgeable. And to that, I would strongly disagree. There is no scale to express the toll being an older sibling has on a person. And no, I do not think I'm over-exaggerating, especially as a female in a Caribbean household.
Tayana Antonione was a student at Boston's Fenway High School when she wrote this college application essay in 2023. She's now at Boston University, not too far from her family in the city's Dorchester neighborhood. As we spoke with Tayana, her brothers and sisters were playing in the background. It's somewhat unexpected to hear a sibling describe herself as a teen mom, even though the responsibilities and sacrifices can be similar. The older sister, she says, plays a critical role in her family. But as a student and maturing person exploring the world, she also wants a life of her own.
I feel so much guilt when I complain about wanting time to myself, but it gets so overwhelming. I feel so much guilt when I feel like I'm neglecting them or making them feel anything less than a main priority. To some degree, maybe these things might sound normal for a sibling to feel, but the capacity that I'm feeling these can be so unhealthy for me. I'm always looking after others, and I feel like I'm always putting myself last. I can't even articulate how much I feel for my siblings. It's like wanting to be free, but you can't let go. It's like being a part of a childhood that isn't yours. It's like living your childhood shaping others. It's losing yourself to help others find their way.
What sort of impression were you hoping to make on the admissions officials at the colleges you applied to? What did you want them to take away from your story?
I said in the essay that I was a teen mom, and I think not a lot of people understand like how being an older sibling can translate into that. And I thought it was a very interesting way of like taking a spin on it and sharing my story in a way and how I truly felt like it should be portrayed. And I thought it was very empowering because there's a lot of my classmates that go through the same thing.
Am I correct in thinking that one of the themes you were trying to get across is how strong you are?
Well, I guess, yeah, how like persistent or like how caring I am too, like, and how much of myself that I want to give into someone else, or how much of myself I want to pour into someone else, because these kind of like are my kids, they're kind of my babies, like for real. So I guess, yeah, it shows how strong I am and how much of myself I want to pour into others and help others. As a female in a Haitian household, cleaning, cooking, and taking care of the kids are expected of me. Being one of the women in the house means I am a second mother. It's funny because when my siblings were born, I wanted nothing more than to be that mother figure and to have that responsibility. I felt like it was an honor to have that role. But the deeper I got into it, the quicker I realized the role was definitely not for the weak. And because I do wake up every day and do my sisterly/motherly duties, I'll just go ahead and call myself one of the few strong people. I remember after my mom went back to work from maternity leave, I was left with my little sister who was just 3 months old at the time. I was very thrilled. Hell, I was feeling jubilant. The day was beautiful. I bathed her. We did a minute of tiny time. I fed her food. She got a little fussy, but we cuddled, and that was the end of it. Fast forward to nighttime. She was sleeping in my bed, and she started crying frantically. And I remember not knowing what to do. I remember being so stressed and feeling the real pressure of a mom. After being with her all day, I was so overwhelmed. I remember crying along with her as I tried my best to console her, because God knows I was tired that day. Now I say I cried along with her to show her that we were the same. We were both kids.
My colleagues and I always are interested in how these students get from A to Z with their essays. What motivates their writing process? Dear College co-producer Steve Marantz.
Why did you choose this subject to write about, Tayana? And what was the process like? Tell us how you pulled this all together.
Well, my teacher said, write about like a story that was very impactful in your life. And I think that little story at the end was what I was going to write my whole essay about. Just that story and go into more details about it. But then looking, revising all that, I realized that that wasn't all there was to the story. There was like emotions that I was feeling throughout it all, like how it impacts me now and how I feel about it now. So I just used that story and like wrote the essay around that story, basically. Being a teen mom has led me to a deep rooted love for women and the amazing art/miracle/blessing called childbirth. It has inspired me to build my company, Anoa. Anoa means she who stands on fertile soil. She stands for body positivity, confidence, and she wants to break away from gender stereotypes. By providing mothers-to-be with a subscription box filled with stylish clothes, loungewear, and lingerie, and all natural products. I want to help give mothers time for themselves to focus on their personal well-being. Moving to college, I won't have as many responsibilities, but my teen mom duties will continue. My business will be the new child that I will hopefully grow throughout my years in college.
This is Dear College, a production of IBIS Media, the independent broadcast information service. Our team includes Steve Marantz, Margot Ferris, and me, Dave Goodman. Music by Left Roman, a.k.a. MIT Comparative Media Studies professor Ian Condry. Thanks to GBH News and the folks who make the College Uncovered podcast for their support. When we spoke to Tayana Antonione, she was just about to start her college career, and the experience of crafting an admissions essay was fresh on her mind. So we asked, what advice would she give to the class coming up behind her?
I think you should just write from your heart and write the first thing that comes to your head, like the first big event that comes to your head. And I feel like you'll be good. Just write from your heart, write your truth, and everything will flow after that.
That was Tayana Antonione, currently a student at Boston University. Her story and the essays of many other students can be heard on Dear College. The website is dearcollegepodcast.org. Thanks again, David.
You're very welcome, Kirk.
GBH.